going on. The hosts are feeling the heat at the Eden Gardens. It is lunch on day 3. Not stumps, not the end of the match. It is lunch because South Africa, who started day 3 at 93 for 7, fought oh so well. Temba Bavuma has gone past 50. He was 55 not out in a test match when no one's gone past 40. Crucial partnership with Corbin Bosch, and that extended South Africa's lead to 1-2-3. In response, India 10 for 2. They've lost their openers. 10 for 3 because their captain will play no part in this test match. So, on Bajaj Finserv Mutual Funds presents ESPNcricinfo Matchday, we will hear the emotions and analysis of Sanjay Bangar, who's actually a very stoic man, very calm and composed. But I feel, Mr. Bangar, there'll be a lot of happy emotion and analysis coming from Vernon Philander, who would be very happy waking up early in the morning. So, why don't we see what Vernon is up to and how he's feeling, Vernon? Are we smelling something special brewing over here, South Africa on top?
Good morning, gents. Yeah, I think I told you guys yesterday, don't let us in, don't give us a chance. But I think a wonderful partnership by Temba Bavuma and Corbin Bosch this morning. I also feel from an Indian perspective, too many soft singles on hand. I think, they've almost, allowed South Africa to gain a bit of momentum with bat in hand, but take absolutely nothing away from Temba Bavuma. I think we talk about his composure, his temperament, his technique, that suit obviously, those kind of tough conditions. But I mean, yeah, what an innings to guts it out and to afford his team, obviously a opportunity, to get into this test match. And I think we all said it from the get-go, 100 plus runs on that particular surface. You're in with a chance. It might not be enough, but you pick up early wickets. And I suppose I don't see Gill being paired up or, in that changing room, anywhere near that Indian changing room. So that's a massive concern for India. But ultimately, the start South Africa had in this first session, I feel it's going to be, it's going to be South Africa's day. I just have a gut feel.
Excellent. Well, I'll just for the benefit of you, Vernon, and the viewers who may have missed it in the morning, the BCCI has confirmed Shubman Gill will play no further part in this test match and he will be monitored. He's in hospital. Our best wishes for the recovery of the Indian captain. But India, for all practical purposes in this test match, will only have 9 batters. Let's talk about the first hour of the third morning. And you sense it was a crucial hour to decide whichever way this test goes. So the fact that Bavuma and Bosch could fight it out on a pitch that we described last night as close to unplayable, if not unplayable. What happened in the first hour this morning, Sanjay?
I just thought that in addition to what Vernon said about too many easy singles, I also felt that not introducing fast bowling from one end, which we've been saying that, okay, the best combination on this particular surface from a bowling point of view is always going to be pace and spin, wherein you get stifled for runs against the pacers. And all 3 wickets which fell today of South Africa, all 3 were taken by pacers. So, and even 5 wickets which have fallen so far on this particular day have been taken by pacers. Yeah. So, to not count out the pacers, India will certainly have to negotiate the pacers quite well to get across this line.
Explain that a little more, if you can, on why it's important to go pace one end and spin the next. You can see what Rishabh Pant is thinking. Jadeja and Akshar are both getting balls to turn and bounce, and we know this pitch is tough. Why is it ideal to go pace one end and spin the other?
Because you still get runs against spin. If you just play with softer hands and with the kind of field placements which were employed by Rishabh Pant, there were chances for easy singles. It wasn't that the batsman really had to try and find where the next run is going to come from, and that happens generally on such surfaces when you're playing against pace, because you have the inner field which is obviously there to protect. You can't play through the line, the ball will go up and down, so those stumps come into play, and that's the reason why you see the economy of Jansen or Siraj or Jasprit Bumrah so far on this particular day has been far more than that what you can see against spin.
Yeah, because I picked up some of the commentary, Vernon. I wonder if you did, on there being a concern that if you bring the pacer on, you might leak runs, and therefore you're going with the spin. Just break down in detail to what Sanjay said, to what you've said as well, what India missed, and also I guess how much of that first had to do with the pitch behaving a little bit better or the effect of the roller on the third morning?
Yeah, I think they certainly missed a trick. I mean, I fully agree with Sanjay there. I think, you've got a couple of tailenders coming to the crease. You've got a world-class seamer in Bumrah. Why not use, that method? I think he's been the ultimate wicket taker on that particular surface. Yeah, I mean, we talk about, putting pace on the ball, but I think, the surface almost allows you to, almost go against, what, the general thought or way of thought is, because with the seamers operating, if you're bowling a good enough back of a length, you ain't going anywhere. There's no pace, to work with. You can't hit the ball square on that surface. So you can set fields to really protect, the guys hitting cover drives. And also, you can't trust the element of bounce. So you can't hit the drive, full-blooded drive. Again, I think, like in South Africa, in the morning sessions, when the heavy roller gets put on there, initially for that first hour, it does seem to play a little better until that heavy roller starts wearing off, and the surface start getting abrasive again. So I do feel after lunch it's going to be a lot tougher because, that surface will have 40 minutes of the sun bathing on it. But again, I think, to Sanjay's point, I feel, India missed the trick this morning by not operating with one seamer from the one end.
Well, let's see if it comes back to cost them. But I think the bigger positive in terms of the quality of the innings, given the circumstances, Temba Bavuma, how good was that? Vernon, kick us off.
Yeah, I think he's always been a leader. I think he's a wonderful inspiration, not just to the country, but, to the rest of his batters. I think he instills that sense of belief, scoring lower order runs. I think very often you could have seen, an in-batter, feeling that he had to go out and make the play, but he's almost allowed a Corbin Bosch to come in and say to him, you know what, they're probably going to give you more run scoring opportunities. So whatever opportunities there is, I want you to fully latch on them. And yeah, you can just sense, by the body language this morning, there was a great intent, to look for those singles. I think there was a couple of singles where it was, soft bat into the offside, challenging the fielders. And then once they hit the boundary, I think this is where India perhaps missed the trick, because once they hit one or two boundaries, the field starts spreading, and that's exactly what you want from a South African perspective. But again, from a leadership perspective, Temba Bavuma is right up there. Not just the way he speaks in his changing room, but also the way he leads with the bat. I think he perhaps showed South Africa and the rest of their batting lineup this morning that, if you can stay calm, if you can stay composed, that there is runs to be collected on that surface. So again, a job well done, and he certainly gave South Africa that wonderful opportunity of going for victory in this particular test match.
Yeah, blueprint for the rest of the batters. What stood out for you from that Temba Bavuma innings?
I would say character, because clearly this is a team which has won a massive title, and after that they've gone on and won a test match in Pakistan as well. So you could clearly see that there's a lot of pride in this particular dressing room, never give up attitude, and that was on display from a mental point of view, because you could see how Corbin Bosch, or for that matter Simon Harmer, when he got that opportunity to add lower order runs. And for Bavuma, I think he trusted his defense. He was really committed to play on the front foot against spinners, as also he was okay to be beaten on the outside edges, which was very, very evident, not only against spin, but also against pace. And that's probably the best way to approach from a batting point of view on such a surface.
Yeah, even when he was getting beaten, it didn't seem like you were troubling Bavuma. That's how, is it fair to say, like he was so sure of his game that it didn't matter whether the surface was playing tricks on him or not.
Yeah, I think he was quite secure in that particular fact that, okay, you make peace that, okay, this is a way, if you get out, you get out. But if there is another way of not letting the bowler get you out, that is what I think Bavuma was very, very certain about, that it is okay if I get out in the slip nicking, or even if I miss that outside edge and the ball hits the so bad, but let me go down that middle or leg stump line and try and play the ball with the bat as much as possible. And I think that was just absolutely brilliant batting, defensive batting against spin.
Yeah, and I think the minute Jadeja started coming over the wicket to him, India's plans changed to him. You felt like Temba Bavuma has got India in a place that they're not quite happy with, and it got worse for India after that. Vernon, take us through the response with the ball. Marco Janssen's 2 wickets to Jaiswal and KL Rahul, almost South Africa-esque, with the keeper in play and the outside edge in play, which is different from what we were discussing on, say, day one as a mantra for success for the fast bowlers.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of the surface. I think if you ask me, were they absolute jaffers? They weren't. I think it's just the reaction off the surface. I think you look at the first over that Janssen bowled, a couple down the leg side, and then he got one on a straightish line that took off, and it obviously caught the batter by surprise. But that's the element of surface that we're dealing with, and I don't want to keep elaborating on the surface. But as a batter, you need to almost wrap your head around that you are going to get one or two that's going to stand up. You need to be in a position to almost say, you know what, if it stands up, I can get my hands out the way, make peace with it. And I think that is something that Temba Bavuma has done, so brilliantly in his innings. We saw a couple of balls turned, beat outside heads, but you almost need to make peace with, that kind of thing is going to happen on this particular surface. But that's exactly the start South Africa had wanted. They needed, obviously, quick wickets. And again, I think, like I said, yesterday as well, the seamers, you're going to have to bowl straighter lines. The length is, is unimportant right now because, one or two will squat. And as a batter, because one or two keeps low, you almost feel that you have to keep playing at it. And that's where, when one or two do stand up, you get yourself into trouble. But wonderful lines, and perhaps just the start South Africa obviously wanted, just before that lunch break.
What was your reaction watching those 2 wickets?
I mean, not only those 2 wickets, but the way Jaiswal played a couple of deliveries even before getting out, and we knew that Jaiswal is going to bat in this particular fashion. He's got a good defensive game as well. So I think at times on such surfaces, it can go either way. Wherein, if you remember the match at Oval, the last Test match, in the second innings when the ball was darting around a lot, he came out and threw bat at the ball and was successful. But on this particular occasion, it didn't really work that way. So maybe Jaiswal has to try and understand whether he should continue a particular template, especially batting in the second innings, because there was a Test match in Delhi as well against West Indies, wherein he just thought that let me finish this match because they were probably chasing 100, 110. And in that process, he lost his wicket as well.
There's a nothing to lose sort of attitude at times, which works wonders for players with the ability Jaiswal has, with what Virender Sehwag once had. But here, there's time in the game. It's 120. It's not 200. It's not like you have to make the new ball count as such. Do you sense it was miscalculated from Jaiswal, looking at the importance of this chase, the absence of Shubman Gill?
I don't think that absence of Shubman Gill would have been factored in by somebody batting at the top of the order, because he has got an individual job to do. But it's just a matter of understanding that there are times in Test cricket wherein surfaces are going to be demanding certain other aspects of your batsmanship as well, and that's where I think Yashasvi Jaiswal has a few dismissals wherein we've seen that there is a need for introspection.
Okay, quick one on KL Rahul as well. Good ball? Or avoidable from a batter's point of view?
I mean, on such surfaces when the pitch or when the ball is expected to stay a little bit low, and once it rears off, you're always looking to play the ball, and then one rears off, you're obviously going to follow that. So I don't really think that KL Rahul was playing with that sort of an intent to try and get out of that shell or get out of the mark very, very quickly.
Okay, interesting. Let's go into the next session. I wonder how you see South Africa going about plans here, and I'll get Sanjay in on what to expect from India, whether they grind it out and are watchful, or whether they go attack and try and not make this, what is a relatively small target on paper, too long a chase. Vernon, start us off tactically from both sides.
Yeah, I think we might see a little bit more of Corbin Boss after lunch. I also feel that Simon Harbour perhaps continuing for a little bit longer. But I do feel on this particular surface, and given the nature of Keshav Maharaj, I think you will be a much bigger threat in the second innings. I think in the first innings you could have still trusted the surface to a certain element, but I think this is where he's really going to come into his zone. He's going to try and turn a couple, obviously, away from the bat, but he's the one bowler that will bring those stumps into play. So I think South Africa, tactically, they will probably revert to those two players up front, to make early inroads after lunch.
Sanjay?
I think they'll have to play off Janssen, because he's going to be the most potent threat, because Corbin Bosch, yes, he's got pace in the air, but the evidence that we have of how he bowled in the first innings, he wasn't really at the stumps, not bringing the LBW and bowl into play, so presenting a lot of run scoring opportunities. So if India can get past Janssen's spell, then things should get easier for them in this session.
You can see the lowest targets that India failed to chase in Test cricket. 120 against the West Indies in Barbados. Tendulkar's dedicated an entire chapter in his book to that game. Curtly Ambrose won it for the West Indies. And 147 against New Zealand. That was last year when New Zealand ended the streak. And India will have recent memories of that number of these players played in that Test match. So, all things considered, where do we see this game going? Firstly, is this going to be the final session of the Test match? Are we going to see a result either way here, Mr. Bangar?
No, I don't think the game is ending in this particular session. We'll go into session 3 on day 3 to get a result. It's going to be a hard-fought session for both sides. I would say 3 wickets and maybe 60 runs would be an ideal thing for us to keep the game in the balance and the game alive till the last session.
So another 60 runs would keep India needing another 80 with about 4 wickets or 5 wickets in hand. Of course, no Shubman Gill. That is Mr. Bangar's prediction that we're going into a final session. Vernon, Philander, where is this game going?
Is this the same Sanjay we had on day 1? Because it's very conservative at the moment. I'm gonna get a little greedy. I think the game's gonna speed up. I don't think it's gonna get easier at all. So I'm gonna go. We're probably gonna knock 5 wickets down in the session, and hopefully for exactly the amount of runs Mr. Sanjay wants on the board, 60 more.
Oh, well, he's given you half of what you want. So that's, I guess, a kind man, Vernon Philander. And 5 wickets. South Africa only need another 7, not 8. No Shubman Gill. Can't stress on that enough. But Washington Sundar at 3 and Dhruv Jurel at 4. Let me just get a quick word on that from you. We didn't imagine this to be India's 3 and 4 ahead of this Test. But Jurel in at 4. Happy with what the team has given him with. It's a tough job.
I thought they want to keep the other bowlers also into equation, because if Rishabh Pant would have come into bat, then Keshav Maharaj literally goes out of the game. So from a South African perspective, they would certainly like to have somebody like Dhruv Jurel at the crease, because Rishabh Pant can take the game away in a couple of overs. So he's a man in form. Dhruv Jurel, take nothing away from him. He's looked secure. He looked good in the first innings as well. So India would hope that he gets a contribution.
All right. Well, let's see where this game goes. Thank you, Sanjay Bangar, and many thanks to Vernon Philander as well. Well, this is the stuff of champions. Let's put it that way for South Africa. They are the World Test Championship mace holders, and they've played like champions. India would still back themselves to get 114, but my word, it's not going to be easy. Let's see where this game stands at the end of this session, whether it's tea or whether it's a post-match chat. It should be fun with Vernon and Sanjay. Join us then for Bajaj Finserv Mutual Funds presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday.